Therefore, the question is that this House do now adjourn. I recognize the honourable member from Saanich, Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rise this evening in adjournment proceedings to pursue a question that I asked on February 5th of this year. It relates to a very key issue in our democracy, and that is our voting system, the winner-take-all system known as first past the post. We are one of the few democracies, one of the very few democracies on this planet that uses a system that separates the popular vote from the parliament that's created, from the seat count. It is a perverse system, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, and as I put in my question back on February 5th, it's a perverse system that many Canadians find unacceptable. And that's why one of the reasons for the Liberals' election victory in 2015, and no question about it, one of the reasons for the victory that they experienced was the promise that 2015 will be, quote unquote, 2015 will be the last election under first past the post. It was in the election platform. It was then put in the speech from the throne. I joined a special standing committee of this place that toured Canada, listened to thousands of Canadians, heard from tens of thousands of Canadians, that was created a standing committee on electoral reform to recommend a system that would replace first past the post, because we all believed, and I swear on a stack of Bibles, Mr. Speaker, why I believed the Liberal promise that 2015 would be the last election under first past the post, and the job of our committee was to come up with the alternative voting system that would be fair and would ensure that the popular vote was reflected in the parliament that was created. Well, Mr. Speaker, on February 2nd, 2017, that promise was broken in spectacular fashion as a new minister recently got up in front of the mics out there and said, it's not in my mandate letter anymore, we're not changing our voting system. And then the excuse, the fake excuse that there was no consensus. The Liberals invented a new condition never previously mentioned. They ran an election. They won based on telling people 2015 will be the last election under first past the post. Well, the answer I received from the parliamentary secretary was more than inadequate, but so was the result, because my question was, would this government at least agree to pass Motion 86 that was to create a citizens' assembly so Canadians could have a jury of our peers? They didn't listen to the parliamentary committee, they didn't listen to the people of Canada in the vote that said, yes, we will vote for Liberal candidates because 2015 will be the last election under first past the post. Well, that motion to create a citizens' jury went down to defeat. But I don't think we should give up on it, Mr. Speaker. What happens when you make a promise to Canadians and then you walk away from it and you break it? Isn't you've walked away from the problem. You've turned your back on Canadians. You've fed into a well of increasing cynicism, increasing disgust and distrust to the people of this country, to the voters of this country. It's not too late to return, and this is what I want to pursue tonight. How do we return to the promise that was broken and actually keep it? How do we let Canadians know that voting in Canada can become fair, that the way we vote will be reflected in the parliament we elect? It's not too late. Even though, Mr. Speaker, I have 10 seconds left, I put it to this government, keep your word, bring the promise back, get rid of first past the post.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Leader of the Government in the House.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that the Leader of the Green Party might not necessarily like the answer, but the truth of the matter is that back then that there was no consensus achieved. And I also know that the Leader of the Green Party is very familiar with the history of this debate, not only here in Ottawa, but in other jurisdictions, other provinces, other political parties at the provincial level for many, many years have been calling for a change in the first past the post system. Yet, every province, and here in Ottawa, we continue with first past the post. And it has proven to provide governments in most part that has been acceptable. Elections have, in fact, been acceptable. There have been some anomalies that have caused a great deal of concern. I will acknowledge that fact. But in reflecting in terms of what had taken place during that 2016, 2017, and the types of discussions that were around the table at the time, it became clear that we weren't going to be able to achieve that consensus. You had some people that were advocating the preferential ballot as an example, and there was others that were talking about a different form to change the election. At the end of the day, we've seen provinces have independent groupings that would do research as to what they believe or how they believe that the province could modify or change the system. And that has taken place on several occasions. We have seen referendums at the provincial level. And what I have witnessed over my relatively short term of 30-plus years as a parliamentarian is that the first past the post continues to be the preferred choice by Canadians and by governments and opposition parties consistently. At times, the issue of electoral reform does come up, and people are there's a good percentage of people that are very much concerned and looking at ways to change. Maybe we will see some sort of a change in the future, in particular at a provincial level, where then we will be able to look at what that particular province is doing. But until we can achieve that consensus, I don't believe that we're in a position where we can actually see the type of change that the leader of the Green Party would like to ultimately see, Mr. Speaker. I would suggest to you at the end of the day, and I don't say it lightly, I've been in a political party in the province of Manitoba where there was only two Liberal MLAs. In fact, my daughter is the only Liberal MLA currently in the province of Manitoba. I understand the arguments on all sides in terms of why it is a number of people would like to see electoral change. I know the examples in regards to where one party will get a majority of the vote, yet they don't get a majority of the seats. And I realize that also takes place. But all in all, when you weigh things out, you will find, Mr. Speaker, that people are accepting and content with the first past the post because it has been working for Canada to date. And until we can build that consensus, I think we need to stick with that.
The honourable member from Saanich Gulf Islands has 1 minute.
Here's the problem, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals didn't put out an election platform in 2015 that said, if we can find consensus, we'll change the voting system. No, it was unequivocal. 2015 will be the last election under first past the post. That was the promise, not if we can find consensus. That was invented post facto after they won the election, and MPs, good MPs like Craig Scott, for Toronto Danforth, lost his seat as NDPers came up to him and said, gee, Craig, I'm really sorry, I've always voted for you, but I'm not going to vote for you this time because I'll never have to vote strategically again because the Liberals are going to get rid of first past the post. We believed their lies, and it's a damn shame to lie to Canadians. Shame.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Leader of the Government in the House.
Yes, Madam Speaker, it's strong words that are used by the Leader, and I think that at the end of the day we need to recognize that there was a genuine attempt to change the system. Even in a majority situation, we surrendered the majority by allowing the majority to be an opposition members, which included the leader of the Green Party. There was a genuine attempt, but let's also recognize that we could not get the consensus, and therefore it would not have been appropriate for the government to move forward on the issue. And at the end of the day, I believe it's important important that we reflect in terms of what actually had taken place. And maybe we can talk about some of those details that had taken place, because now we don't necessarily have the time that would allow us to do so, Mr. Speaker, but I would be more than happy to share some more intimate discussions with the member on this important issue. Thank you.